I am hitting record now.
Okay. This
I
a
can't
nice
believe
way of
that
telling me to shut the fuck up.
Well, I can't believe that we basically wasted like 45 minutes.
Wasted. I was trying to catch you up on E3.
I know.
This is what happens, man, when you work and everybody's busy. And see, if you didn't get ice cream, none of this would be your fault.
I'll wait. I'll wait. It's like that substitute teacher, man. They do it every time. I'll wait.
I'm already recording.
So am I, dude. So am I.
Everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You are listening to episode 28. Yes, that's the one for the week of June 9th, 2019. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by E3-less Will.
Yes, I am E3-less. I was catching up with you before the show, and apparently Xbox made its big debut today, huh?
Yeah, we are recording on Sunday the 9th, and Xbox's presser happened about 2 hours, ended about 3 hours before we're pressing record. Unfortunately, we are missing Bethesda's presser right now, but thanks to the wonders of the internet, we can always circle back to that later.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Me too. I cannot wait to see what they show of Doom.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm still thinking about pulling the trigger on Doom 2016, and I might just do that tomorrow.
Yeah, you need to.
I do need to.
Out. It is such a fun game. You'll be like, you know what? Screw all responsibility. Wait until like Wednesday, because I know you got some shit going on. Buy it on like Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Didn't you post something? I mean, I'm kind of like hijacking the show here, but didn't you post something recently on Twitter or something about, what's his name? The guy that does the soundtrack and...
Oh, Mick Gordon. Yeah, there was a nice little meme. It's over in our Discord, and it's like a copy of some YouTube comments, and somebody commented every song is in drop D, which is a guitar tuning for those that aren't familiar. Every song is in drop D for dropping demons, but for real, those strings are low AF. And he replies, it's in F sharp for fucking up demons.
Such a badass response.
Oh, it was perfect. Oh, man, I love him. He is amazing. I can't wait to hear the soundtrack. You know, he hired a metal choir for the new game.
I think I remember you mentioning this, and that's so Devin Townsend.
It really is.
Very typical.
We had the same exact conversation.
I think we did.
So, well, let me get some business out of the way, and we can chat about games. We got a lot to talk about. So much, in fact, that this episode will likely go 4 hours, but somehow we'll edit it down to 1.
Yeah.
So, folks, join us on our Discord. Stop on by and say hi. The link is in the show notes. And, of course, thank you for listening to the show. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us. Also, follow us on the web at our main page, which is WDGRPodcast.libsyn.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at WDGR Podcast. Will, if somebody would like to follow you, how can they do so?
Will_gear.
You can follow me at ScionStorm on all forms of social media as well. And let's start things out with what have you been playing, man?
I feel like I haven't played that much recently since the last recording. It's still Skyrim. Technically, I did venture back a little bit from memory. And it's been nice, man. I think I mentioned in the last episode, it's good to take a break from really any game, especially one that's as daunting as Sekiro. So I am thoroughly enjoying it, and I plan to play more. What about you?
I fired up Spider-Man again.
Okay.
That I've been sitting around about 32% on the campaign on that. It tells you in the game how far along you are. And it took me about half an hour to kind of get the basics of combat down again, because I checked my save file, February was the last time I played the game.
Wow.
Yeah, so Took a little bit of time to kind of get comfortable with it again, but once I did, I started making some pretty decent progress. I completed a couple missions. I think I maybe gave it about 2 or 3 hours. And man, what a fun game! If you have not tried that yet, I can't recommend it enough. The swinging mechanics in that game are really just a lot of fun. It just feels very natural.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that when you were playing it, and that has always intrigued me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that I think, I don't know if I would say pay full price for it. I'm happy that I only paid $20 for it, but there's a lot of fun in there. And you get to upgrade your suit, and you get all these new powers as you go along, and there's just a lot of repetition in the mission so far. That's my only gripe. A lot of the side quests are basically the same. So I'm unlocking more and more things as I go. They don't give you everything all at once, which is kind of nice. So there's different types of side quests. And then as you discover more and more of the city, you gain access to more of them, and the game kind of brings you all over the city to do the story missions. So maybe like Uptown New York isn't unlocked yet, but it will be once I have a mission up there, that kind of thing. But it's just, it's a lot of the same, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I think games like that tend to be kind of samey and kind of repetitive sometimes because they put a lot of attention on the mechanics and just what people, I think, want out of a Spider-Man game, which is literally to just swing around like Spider-Man.
They nailed it.
It seems like they did. I really just can't say much because obviously I haven't played it, but I'm glad in some ways that maybe the game is the way it is because it looks like they have mastered what people wanted, which is that fantasy of webbing your way through Midtown.
Yeah, and it really captures that, not only just the feeling of it, but also the environment of Manhattan. I mean, it's really fucking cool.
It looks amazing. It looks like they kind of really did a lot of justice to paint this world of Manhattan the way that it really is in real life.
Yeah,
it looks incredible.
The attention to detail is pretty staggering. All the buildings that you want to see, they're all there.
Yeah,
all those famous landmarks exist,
as they should be.
And yep, it's really cool. So that's about it. I really haven't had a ton of time for games, unfortunately. But I did find about 3 hours one evening to play that.
Well, that's how it goes.
Yeah, man. We got a lot of stuff in the mailbag, though. Have you had a peek over there?
I was briefly looking just now, actually, and I do want to quickly touch on something just regarding Spider-Man before we move on.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to say, and it's really not that important, but I love the depiction of Spider-Man from Marvel vs. Capcom 1. And the reason why I say that is because, and I'm going to link this in Discord, the art style that they did on just that game alone was incredible, but what they did for Spider-Man, I think, is the perfect way to not describe him, but to to draw him, to imagine him being Spider-Man. They did a really good job in that particular game, and they made his eyes super huge and super kind of like cutting edge, and there's almost like a web design on his actual outfit. Some people might not know what I'm talking about, but again, I'm gonna put a picture in because I want people to see this version of Spider-Man, because as we know, there's many different versions of almost any superhero, and in terms of how they look. So that's all. I just wanted to say that I really love that version of him.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to remember.
I'm going to link you.
Yeah. Let me see a link. Get me that link, yo.
Yep, it's coming right now. But cool. Mailbag. What do we got?
We got a ton of stuff, dude. We had some questions that we've had queued up for about a week. Vortex dropped a few things in that he kind of put them for next episode. We were already recording, so this is kind of submitted late in the week. What games do you think are better? Games from the SNES era or indie games now? And do you think indie games have surpassed any SNES era games for story/quality?
This is a good one. Let's see here. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I'll have you go first on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's hard to compare the two because, I mean, in some ways it's easy because a lot of indie games are going for the same art style. They have that, 8-bit or 16-bit look to them, and the gameplay is supposed to mimic that. But at the same token, a lot of those games in the 16-bit era are holdovers from the arcade era, where you're playing anytime I see a score at the top of my screen, I think arcades. And a lot of SNES era games still had that scoreboard up at the top of the screen, and they kept track of that information. So even a game that has a story to it, it's still, I don't know, it's still like arcadey. Like a lot of side scrollers are still very arcadey to me. They're still very much quarter munchers, even though there is no quarter. They are determined to make your life difficult, and you can only win through repetition. Whereas I think indie games are more focused on giving you an overall experience and, guiding you through a story that the developer is trying to tell. And they're choosing to tell that story through a 16-bit look.
Yes. No, I agree.
Now, there's always exceptions. I think a game like Cuphead is meant to be a throwback to arcade shooters. And I think a game like Link to the Past is meant to tell a story. So there's always that exception to the rule. But I think generally speaking, we really didn't see games truly taking on storytelling until the PlayStation era. I think would say as a whole, there were always outliers, and there always will be. But I think that's when developers realized, and maybe even before that, if you look over on the PC side, you had developers like Westwood Studios who were doing like FMV stuff, anything that was on a CD that you can install on your computer. Yeah, a lot of times they'd have full motion video. So like Wing Commander, that had fucking Mark Hamill in it. That told a whole story. Command and Conquer, all of those games from the first game forward, they all had FMVs. So if we're talking consoles, I don't think that was fully realized until the PlayStation era.
I agree.
But PC games have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the more I look at this question, and I've had a few minutes now to kind of dwell on it, I would say that indie games of today definitely have surpassed, because when I think about some of the games you've mentioned and just the way that the formats were and the way the stories were, I mean, you get a lot of people that could argue that a game like Chrono Trigger on SNES, which, as far as I know, has a really, really good story, and I know it's bad, I haven't played the game, but it's a huge staple in any SNES RPG collection, especially in terms of story, from what I understand. But I will say that indie games of today have incredible stories, and I think the reason why is because we've had so much time, or devs have had so much time to tell better stories in a unique way through the game itself. Whereas games like Chrono Trigger, you're dealing with sprites, sounds, and a lot of text, and that's a great way to communicate a story. But I mean, a game like Brothers, just one example. I mean that game, the story is just unbelievably good. So, and I think a lot of that is just because of the way it's told, and I don't think there's even any real words in that game. That I think about it, I think there might be some text, but there's no actual like dialogue that's in English. They have a very unique way of speaking, but somehow they pull off the story in such an incredible way.
I'm kind of reminded of Hyper Light Drifter, where there's a story that's told through imagery, but the dialogue in the game is literally just noises coming from the characters with a bubble, with like a speech bubble popping out of their head. And the speech bubble is just an image.
That's cool.
It's very clever. Like they're telling this story about like, what's going on in the world, basically.
Sure.
And that's a game that I want to really circle back to. That was a fucking awesome game. You'd like that. But I mean, with not to dwell on the topic too much longer, because we have a lot of topics, but just kind of a final thought. I think with indie games too, storyline wise, I think they kind of hyper focus the story and they make it good, but they don't spend too much time drawing it out, because first of all, the indie games tend to be a shorter experience overall. And I think a lot of that may have to do with budget or the size of the teams. So they focus, they deliver a good product generally, and they get out before they can overstay their welcome. And I think about like an RPG where you have this 70, 80-hour game. And yeah, it's this huge experience and this grand story, but there's a lot of filler in there as well, too. You don't really get that with an indie game in most cases.
Yeah, no, you're right. Indie games, I think, like you said, in a lot of ways, they're a little bit more restricted to the amount of content that they have to put out because they have to stay within that genre. And I really can't think of many indie games that overstay their welcome, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Vortex also wants to know about what games and gaming news we're looking forward to see at E3. Let's circle back to this one because we're going to talk about E3 quite a bit in this episode. Puxor would like to know if you could upgrade or redesign a classic game with modern mechanics, which game would you tweak and what would you change? It could be anything from replacing random encounters with dudes on a map to adding a second analog stick to N64 games so you don't fly off a platform when the camera does something weird. As soon as I saw that N64 comment, I immediately thought of Doom 64 and how frustrating that game is to play.
Yeah, there's a lot on 64 that I can think of that are very frustrating to play. I mean, you take Turok 1, the default settings allow you to control Turok with the goddamn C buttons. And if anybody, is familiar with the N64 controller, the C buttons were the yellow ones at the top right, I believe. So it was incredibly awkward. This is a great question, actually. I think, there's probably a lot of games I could think of that I could control better.
Well, the Dreamcast had Quake and Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament on it. And I remember both of them controlling pretty damn well, considering that they were on a one analog stick system. But if I'm not mistaken, Quake was just like Turok, where you're doing the movements with the C buttons and you're doing the looking with the analog stick. And I would love to, try to change that. That would be great. I mean, I think most of my complaints would be either PC games that were translated to console that just dual stick wasn't around yet, so it didn't really work. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Doom 64, Quake 3 Arena on Dreamcast, Unreal Tournament on Dreamcast. I would like to see some of the mechanics in the later Command & Conquer games put into the original Command & Conquer games, like Command & Conquer 1 and Red Alert. Those games had very simplistic controls for the time, and there have been mods that have integrated some of those controls from the later games, but and I'm pretty sure with the official release, they're going to be looking into doing that too, because they're doing a remaster of those games. And I remember seeing something about them making changes. I think that was one of the changes. I'm trying to think of what else. Random encounters in RPGs is a good one too. Grandia 2 did a great job of handling that because they just had random dudes on a map and you could just run up to one of them and engage the battle, or you can run away and ignore them completely. All depended on how you wanted to play. And the nice thing is, once you killed them, usually they were gone, like they didn't come back. That's
cool. Yeah, that can be frustrating. Yeah. I mean, there are games that I wouldn't say require that. Some may actually argue that because they think that it's required for grinding purposes. But I feel like if you want to grind, then you should be able to grind when you want to, and not have to be forced to face an enemy constantly, and just know that if you're running around in a field, that at any second you're going to get the
right.
That happens in like FF7, and it's charming, but I think we're past that now.
I think a good solution would be to make it so that the game can be beaten with a moderate amount of forced encounters, and then it have, like Final Fantasy VII had bosses that were beyond what Sephiroth was, so you could continue playing the game before you beat it, and then encounter these much higher level enemies, kind of putting away like the best bosses are kind of hidden behind basically a level wall, and then integrate some kind of a thing where you get a pop-up as you're running around the world map saying, hey, here's a random encounter, do you want to engage? And then you just say yes or no or ignore it.
Yeah,
I think that would be cool.
Sure.
And then you have that power. And maybe every 5 of them, like, you're forced to actually have a battle just so you get some amount of leveling up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other thoughts on that one, or move on to the next?
We can move on.
Joe Donut says, excuse me, does your nostalgia have a cutoff? What I mean by that is, if you're being really honest with your gaming preferences, is there an era of games that is just too old for you to get excited about anymore? For him, it's anything older than the PlayStation, N64, Saturn. Anything past that isn't that exciting to him anymore. He says, I know a lot of 8 and 16-bit games are incredible, but it was really the 32-bit era where my passion for games and game storytelling really started, and that seems to hold true today.
Yeah, this is a really well-rounded question.
I don't know about you, but for me, I think my nostalgia is less about the era and more about the game. So there are games on the Atari 2600 that I can pop in any day of the week and have a great fucking time with. You know,
sure.
Give me a joystick and a copy of Yar's Revenge, and I'll be busy for hours.
Yeah, I think that's where you and I do differ a little bit. I might be more with Joe on this one. I think anything older than PlayStation, N64, and Saturn. Him saying that it isn't all that exciting to him anymore. I agree with that. I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, it's hard for me to go back to SNES, NES, God forbid Atari. I don't think I've even played that console ever. But yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I can really only go so far. And I'm with Joe on this one. If I want to be short and sweet with this, I'm with Joe. I think that the nostalgia does have a cutoff, and I think it's a great question.
It's tough for me to get into an older game that I've never played before. I have a real hard time with that. Yes,
if you haven't played it, then it's like trying to climb Mount Everest. You just don't want to do it.
Right. So I think for that sake, I would say the PlayStation era is probably my cutoff point. But if it's a game that I'm familiar with, that I grew up with, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
I'll pop it in and play. If it's something that I loved, it has the era that it's from has absolutely no bearing on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's there's a lot of truth to that. Sometimes era, really is not, the sort of game breaker.
Yep. Raffy Fat Fingers wants to know which one of us would win in a fight and how. This is,
I looked at that one and I kind of just smirked. Because this is, and I know Raph's going to hear this, this is typical Raph. He loves to, put a coin on the tracks. He likes to, derail things a little bit. I don't know why I'm not laughing. I think it's just because I'm so tired. Who would win in a fight and how? I mean, this is something I don't think we've ever thought about. I'm just going to say Drew. Drew is a large man. I'm a large man. But Drew has a lot more mass, and I don't. So with that being said, I think if we were to, just kind of look at this from a fighting perspective in terms of weight scale and all that nonsense, Drew's going to hit me, and it's going to hurt a lot.
So I don't know if I've ever spoken to you about this, but I've done a lot of martial arts.
And there's that, too. I forgot about that. Drew would just, Wing Chun me to death.
I've done a lot of martial arts.
Yeah, so I'm losing. This is. I mean, I don't think I've even really been in a formal fight in my life. Maybe something mild in, middle school, but... Listen,
I'll let you in on the secret, because my cardio is junk right now. So just make me keep chasing you for a while.
Yeah, I'll just run.
You don't even have to run. You just have to run far enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all you have to do, because I am really out of shape. But if I get my hands on you, man, I don't know.
It's going to be trouble.
Hip throw, Kimura, done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what that means, but it terrifies me, so...
Let's see here. Puxor wants to know, has ludocognitive dissonance ever ruined an otherwise good game for you? So I had no idea what he was talking about, and then I Googled that, and I didn't find ludocognitive dissonance. Are you familiar with this phrase?
Absolutely not, but, wait a second here. Is does he have two questions?
No, he's just saying that I would probably outrank you in martial arts.
Oh, okay.
Buckstore and I used to take Kung Fu together.
Right. No, I do recall that.
So I couldn't find ludocognitive dissonance, but I did find ludonarrative dissonance, and it's basically the idea that a video game can force you into an uncomfortable situation.
Okay.
And the ludonarrative dissonance can help foster that uncomfortableness. So I guess if I'm interpreting this question correctly, he's saying, has a game ever made us uncomfortable enough to stop playing?
I don't think so.
So like Dead Space, for example, is an example in the Wikipedia article saying it has consistent ludonarrative because the gameplay aptly conveys the sense of shared terror and loneliness that the narrative expertly strives to establish.
I would say, okay, I understand this. So, it's funny that you mentioned Dead Space. I think in a lot of ways that might be one game that I can think of where in some ways I think I subconsciously stopped playing it because it was that frightening. Mm-hmm. And I heard a lot about the game from you guys, like from you and Vic has a lot to say about that game. And I remember he was like, dude, I was terrified for like weeks after playing that because he, knowing Vic is a ballsy dude. And, he's the kind of guy that'll turn the lights off at 4:00 in the morning and play that game with a surround sound headphone on.
And he did.
Right. Did. And I'm sure he did.
I just played it with a light and regular stereo.
Right. And, for me, like it's more like putting a headlamp on or like a little book light and just putting it towards my face. So that, or just playing like, at 3:00 in the afternoon with the sun beating through the window, that's a comfortable spot for me. I mean, I don't know. I think when I was younger, I was a little bit more prone to doing what Vic would do. But now that I'm older and I'm aware that some of these things are not real, but you become a little bit more aware of like how frightening things can be. You tend to do those kinds of things less. So if I were to answer this briefly, yeah, sure, Dead Space. I want to finish that game, but if it's anything past 7:00 in the evening, it's probably not happening. 3:00 in the afternoon. That's the latest I'm going to go. That's a cutoff. Yeah, preferably about 10 a.m. Brisk morning with birds chirping outside. That would be an ideal setting for me. Maybe some blueberries in a bowl, rinsed.
Love it. Love it.
Some rinsed blueberries, washed. These apples washed.
Oh God! I heard something. What the hell was it? There was a comment on. I'm rewatching BoJack Horseman with Nikki. She's never seen the show before, and if you've never seen it, I can't recommend it enough. It's truly amazing. And somebody on the show called acai berries blueberries in disguise, or blueberries for rich people, or something like that.
The fuck.
Let's see here. I gotta look it up. BoJack. Let's see. You should just really call them overpriced blueberries. Anyway. At Saikoro asks, what's the biggest Xbox announcement you two are looking forward to the most? Well, unfortunately, I've already seen the Xbox announcements, so I could tell you some of the ones I'm most excited about, but I think we should just kind of let that part happen as part of the conversation at this point.
Sure. Yeah.
So, folks, if you have a question, a comment, anything that you want to hear on the air, just let us know. You can either shoot us a message in Discord. We have a mailbag in there. Link for that is in the show notes, or drop us an email at wdgrpodcast@gmail.com. I'm so fucking tired.
Jesus Christ.
wdgrpodcast@gmail.com.
Dude, here's your flaw, right, in your delivery. You're not eating rinsed blueberries.
You mean overpriced acai?
Rinsed blue. All right, that's it. We need to dive into E3. Let's just do it right now.
Oh God.
Our words are collapsing. I'm sorry, folks.
Oh my God. So, Electronic Arts did their own thing on Friday or Saturday. I don't even fucking know what day it was, but they did their own thing. They decided not to participate in E3 because they were going to do EA Play. And, if you're into Electronic Arts and FIFA and Madden, then this was probably your show. Otherwise, they put out a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order trailer, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, tell me more about this.
Yeah, so they did a 14-minute gameplay reveal. And, it looks good. It looks like every other fucking Star Wars game I've seen in the past 10 years.
And why is that?
Because you're playing as a Jedi, and you're throwing a lightsaber around, and you're killing stormtroopers, and you're using your force pull and your force push, and you have a droid with you. And, the only difference is you're not, reenacting the games. Reenacting the movies. This is a self-contained story that they wrote within the Star Wars universe using characters that have never existed before. So I guess in that respect, it's a little bit like Force Awakens.
Okay.
Or was that the game it was?
I think so.
Now I'm confusing the movies with the games.
Yeah, I'm so behind.
What the hell was the name of that game? Not Force Awakens. Force Awakens was a movie. Jesus Christ. See, I am exhausted, man. Star Wars games.
Well, I would have thought that was the name because I'm so far behind.
Force Unleashed. Okay. Force Unleashed.
Okay.
That's the one I was looking for. I was 50% there. All right, cool. But yeah, so that created a character for the game itself. They didn't use existing canon, but every other Star Wars game in recent memory, for me anyways, it seems to be some kind of rehash of a movie, or it's a Lego Star Wars game or something like that. This seems to be a little bit more original.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I'll build on this briefly, and people know where I stand with Star Wars games. If you want to bring this genre back in terms of, I shouldn't say genre, but if you want to bring Star Wars games back and you want to make them special again, bring back Factor 5, bring back the old crew at LucasArts, and let's see a new Rogue Squadron, or let's see Shadows of the Empire remade, and I guarantee that you will get people pre-ordering these games, because I think that's what people want. They want a dark twist, or not a dark twist, they just want a darker Star Wars game that's just back to its roots, and just not something that's kind of new. I think people want old but new. I don't know what I'm saying. Just
I get what you're saying. You want that magic of the older games, yes, but with the control and graphics of the new games.
Precisely.
Give me that. I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just, I think they just kind of got so wrapped up in movie licenses for so long. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
That was about it from EA that I remember seeing. They did something where they, I guess, are working with some indie developers too. They're trying to jump on board that train. So there's going to be a couple EA published indie games coming out pretty soon. None of them were particularly staggering.
Okay.
But yeah. Other than that, the Xbox press conference was also today. As we said before, that aired about 2 or 3 hours before, and I got to see almost all of it. I missed a small section in the middle, and they announced a new console.
They did.
Yeah, they're giving it one of those code names right now. It's called Project Scarlet. They're saying it's going to come out next year.
Okay.
Around the holiday season. They alluded to it having backwards compatibility because they were saying, it's the most powerful system. It's going to do 120 frames per second, and 4 generations of games look better than they've ever looked before. It was a lot of hyperbole and technobabble and bullshit. But it's coming.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that tomorrow, because I feel like when these companies announce new consoles, sometimes it's exactly what you said. It's sometimes too vague. Sometimes it's a lot of just weird, technical information that you're just kind of all right, and then people, there's still a lot of people that want to know what it looks like, which is kind of an interesting topic in itself. You ever notice that? A lot of people are no, I just want to see it. You know,
you want to see the console.
And I think, you know, a lot of gaming in some ways when it comes to consoles, it's aesthetics. You know, people want to have this beautiful system that they can look at and show off because you're spending a lot of money on it. So I get that. But
I'm one of those people. Though. Yeah, no, I mean, like I'm one of those people that just like adores the aesthetics of a console, and I've always been fascinated by the design choices that they make when they're, you know, releasing these things. I feel like the consoles themselves have really kind of modernized into like the same look, even though it's, you know, Sony or Microsoft. They kind of all look the same because they're all front-loaded disc-based things. So they're not really taking any kind of chances with the layout or the design like they did with the Nintendo or Super Nintendo or the Genesis or anything like that. So there's not that difference anymore. Everything can be stacked, you know, which is great because, you know, our entertainment centers are different, but at the same time too is like there's no, I think, revolutionized look anymore.
Not
so
really.
It's kind of like a catch-22. I still want it to look pretty and professional in my entertainment center next to my, you know, my stereo and all that shit. I want it to kind of look like it belongs there. I don't want it to stand out, but at the same time, it's kind of boring. So I don't know. Will.
Well, that's just it, dude. Like I think that's the problem now. Just with there's too many choices, and there's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of room for growth and a lot of room for imagination. So I don't know. I think I'd like to see kind of what happened when they first debuted, like the PS3. I mean, that thing was just gorgeous. It was huge. You know, when you look back on it now, it's glossy and it's kind of, you know, fingerprint magnet, all that stuff. But, you know, there was kind of like, I don't know, it was like debuting like a new Ferrari back then.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I remember when they debuted like the original plans for the controller. Do you remember that?
For the PS3?
For the PS3, they were going to do that Batarang.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
And people lost their shit.
They did. Weren't they pissed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were pissed, and there was like a small group of like, you know, gamers that looked at that and they were just like, oh, this is so innovative, you know, but they were like serious. They thought that it was going to be really good. And, you know, thank Christ that didn't come out because that thing did not look practical by any means.
No, not even in the slightest. So, I mean, that may be one of the reasons why game companies are so hesitant to release details because they haven't gotten past the product testing phase and they don't want a repeat of an incident like that, you know?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point.
But, yeah, I mean, we're not going to find out any more details about the system until probably, you know, the next year.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, you know, if they're going to be putting it out holiday of 2020, then we still have another E3 to go. And maybe we'll get dribs and drabs. You know, Xbox does have their own event. I can't remember the name of it, but they do usually like their own kind of thing halfway through the year. Maybe we'll get something else there, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, you know, we'll see. I don't think anybody's in a real rush right now to kind of see what the next console is going to be. I mean, there's a lot of people, excuse me, that are curious, but I think that's kind of where we stand. Is it's a curiosity stage right now for most people.
They're also coming out with a new Elite controller, and it's a Series 2 Elite. It's going to have an internal battery, 40 hours of gameplay on a single charge, they're claiming. Comes with a charging dock, or at least it has a charging dock. I don't know if it comes with it. It's going to have Bluetooth, and, you know, if it's anything like the previous Elite, probably going to be spending over $100 easily on it.
Sure.
Nice controller, but they've been prone to having some serious hardware flaws. You know, buttons breaking, the grips coming off, things like that. And the internal battery is a questionable thing at best. I know Sony's been doing it for 2 generations. I don't think it's worked out all that well for them. But
yeah, controllers are kind of tough. You know, I think we've all been there when it comes to third party or even something first party that's like a sort of revamped version. It can be hit or miss. You know, I feel like with my experience with gaming controllers, nothing beats just your kind of OG classic, you know, PS4, PS3, whatever it is. They just always seem to work. I will say the launch PS4 controller was terrible in terms of battery life.
Yeah, the one that I have, I don't know if it's a launch or a revision or what, but the battery life is fairly crap.
Well, they just have so many features now. You know, you have advanced rumble features. You have the light You have the speaker. There's a lot of moving parts these days with controllers that suck up a lot of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the light, and the internal speaker on it probably do use a lot more energy, but like the Xbox controller, man, goes forever. You put a couple of double A's in there, man.
No,
you get a lot of gameplay out of it.
I completely agree with that. It's one of the best controllers of all time, especially the one for 360. And yes, it's kind of weird that they're still using batteries, but they probably keep it that way because they know it works.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, like for me, like I've bought rechargeable batteries, so that's an option for those that are trying to be more environmentally conscious.
Sure.
There was on the topic of Scarlet and new consoles and stuff, they are coming out with Halo Infinite. It's going to be a launch title for Xbox new, whatever they're going to call it.
Yep.
Scarlet edition. Looks great, but it was all cutscenes.
Yeah, that's typical.
I will say, as soon as that piano kicked in, man, I had fucking chills.
Was it Marty O'Donnell?
Well, I don't believe he's involved with that project anymore. Let me see, because I know he had a falling out with Bungie, but 343 is the one that's doing it now. O'Donnell.
I'll tell you what, man. When I think of Halo, and I know this is gonna, possibly give you some chills right now. Just think for a second. Take yourself back to the theme that plays for Halo 2's menu music. Not even like the menu, but like the start screen.
Yeah.
That is one of the greatest themes of all time, especially with Halo.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I just, oh man. There are just some composers in video game history that they make magic.
They do, and they kind of,
He's
tug
one
on
of
the
them.
heartstrings, and he is absolutely one of them.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, he is not involved, or at least he has not been announced to being involved in Halo Infinite.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure what he's doing now. Looks like he's in a different studio, but yeah. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. As far as games go, man, there was a lot of really cool shit announced. They came out with a what they call Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and so we talked a little bit about it offline. Games Pass is kind of like a Netflix for Xbox. Where you have about 100 or so games each month, and they can remove some at any time. They add some at any time. Xbox Studio games tend to get day one releases on this thing, or pretty damn close. And it's fairly affordable. I think it's like $10 a month for the regular pass. And you can find deals all the time. Like if you go on Slick Deals, type in Xbox Game Pass, you'll see, every other week there's a new deal on it where you can get it for a few bucks.
Sure.
Right? So it's a pretty good thing. You just don't own the game. And that doesn't stop you from buying the game. So if, like, for example, Sekiro comes out on the Game Pass, and I play it, and I fall in love with it, I'm like, I need to own this game. I can still fucking buy that game, and I own that game. That doesn't change anything. But if I try it out on the Games Pass, and maybe it's not so great, it's not for me, well, it wasn't a big deal, right? At least that's how I feel about it. So Xbox is making this big push for PC, and they came out with a Games Pass for PC, which is kind of the same thing. 100 or so games. It has a monthly subscription. And then they came out with this all-in-one package called Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is $15 a month. It includes Xbox Live Gold, so you have access to the free games that are part of that. The full Game Pass library on PC, and the full Game Pass library on the Xbox. Pretty cool deal, right?
Okay.
For the first month of Ultimate, they're doing a special to get people in. $1. And then you can set it up to recurring charge, or you can have it drop off. But here's the thing. Once you sign up for it, it converts whatever your existing subscription to Xbox Live is into the Ultimate package. So, people on Reddit found out that if say you have an Xbox Live subscription for, people go online, they'll buy the deals where you get Xbox Live for $45. They'll buy 2, 3, 4 years worth. They'll cash them in, and it banks on your account. You don't have to wait till it expires to renew it. You can bank them. So there's people that have Xbox Live for the next 36 months already banked. And now when they activated this Xbox Game Pass, it converted their entire 36-month subscription into that. So they're basically getting Xbox Live, 200 games, 100 on PC, 100 on Xbox. Some are probably both, for $1.
Which is insane.
It's fucking crazy. So you bet your ass I did it.
I was waiting for that.
I renewed my Xbox Live subscription. I was set to expire in October. I found a deal for like $49. I used my Discover card cash back. I bought the damn thing. Didn't cost me anything out of pocket. I even had $1 on my Microsoft account for some survey I took ages ago. So I didn't pay anything out of pocket for any of this shit.
This is so Vic. Are you sure this isn't Vic's account?
Hey, man, I am a couponer, bro. I am a couponer. And I coupon that shit.
Hey, man.
Extreme couponing, video game style, yo.
Okay, Jesse Pinkman. Batch.
Oh, man, that's even funnier, too, because I've been watching BoJack, and he's in that.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he plays the voice of Todd Chavez.
God bless him.
He's great. He's great. He's going to be in Westworld Season 3.
Oh.
I haven't watched Season 2 yet, but just to give you something else to look forward to, Aaron Paul is back with a vengeance. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward. I already downloaded the app on my phone and told my app to, download a bunch of games.
Okay.
So when we're done recording, I'm going to go play some video games.
Nice.
Until I pass out on the sofa.
That'll be quick.
Yeah.
Maybe Tetris Effect just to be safe.
That's not an Xbox, Will.
God damn it.
I feel like you're missing the point of this conversation,
I'm not,
Will.
but I'm just thinking of something that I know is going to be feasible for you.
I'm
trying to help you, man. Help me help you.
I'm so beyond help. The new there's a Hollow Knight is available on there. I can't wait to check that out. Dandara is another game that I want to check out. I've already queued those up. There's actually a pretty decent amount of indie games. So it's a great way to try out some indie games on the cheap.
Sure.
All right, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's see here. There's an absurd amount of Lego in every fucking thing. Why does every game need to be a Lego game?
Oh, man. You want to talk about picking a bone, or a bone to pick. I just, I love Lego, man. I mean, I grew up with Lego, right? And I think that Lego has evolved a little too much, where it plays on a lot of themes of, pirates and whatever is popular in society. And I guess that's all fine and well. They have to evolve some way, but God damn, dude, why is it in video games now? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel that great about it.
Well, I understand the idea of doing Lego Star Wars or Lego Pirates of the Caribbean or, Lego Batman. They're doing all these franchises and, the movies are fun. I enjoy the Lego movie. I thought it was pretty silly. It was clever. Fine, whatever, right? And I think Lego Star Wars was cool when it first came out, but now I think it's just overboard.
Sure.
And they're showing a trailer. Okay, so they did announce a new Lego Star Wars game. But aside from that, they're showing this trailer for Forza Horizon 4, right? And this thing looks cool as shit and everything. They're driving around. I guess Forza Horizon 4 is already out. It's just, this is DLC for it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, in the background, you start hearing, everything is awesome, from the Lego movie. And fucking, Ferraris made out of Legos pull up. And then this whole, DLC is just Lego Forza.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even know what to say. I just don't know what to say. I think it's just strange. It's really strange. I don't know if it's like a desperate attempt to just, you know, Lego is making a desperate attempt to just become more relevant. I just don't know. But I
Yeah.
just don't know how I feel about it in games. It's certainly not for me. You know, but I know a lot of people that have expressed a lot of joy with Lego video games, Lego movies, just a lot of that sort of thematic stuff. So I don't know, man. To me, Lego is supposed to be touched and built,
Yeah.
not really watched and played. I'll leave it at that.
I would say the movies, are worth your time. I think you and Lauren would probably enjoy if you haven't seen them. They're silly, they're goofy, and it's only an hour and a half of your life. I don't think you'll feel robbed of it. But the video games, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just odd. I mean, maybe it's good for kids, perhaps, but
I guess it is. I know people that say their kids love them.
Sure.
So, more power to you.
Yeah. It must be selling. I can't argue that.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. They did a Gears of War 5 announcement. It's Gears of War 5.
That's a good way of putting it.
Gears of War is great if you like it, and if you don't, then don't buy it, and that's it.
Gears of War is oh man, I have a very small history with that. I stress the word small. I just feel like you're controlling a bunch of like brutish, overly massive steroid infused dudes that are just like using the gnar to just blast other gnarly dudes away. I don't know where I'm going with words here, but I feel like man, I don't know. I just feel like it's like a bunch of bodybuilders like running around with like horrible animations and lots of like sluggish duck and cover mechanics. I've just never been into it.
I was really big on the first two games over on the 360, and then I kind of started falling out of favor with the games because they were very multiplayer focused. I was really into the multiplayer scene on those for a long time though. And they are fun games. I played 3. The campaign was good. I really didn't spend a lot of time with the multiplayer on it. And I don't think I ever finished playing 4. Like, I started it, but I never finished it. But my recollection is they started focusing on a woman character by the name of Kate, if I'm not mistaken. And she continues to be the focus for this one. Like, they killed off Marcus Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. Or he retired or went off into the Happy Land. I don't know. My memory on the storyline is fuzzy, but they have integrated more women into this very mannish world. So that's cool. But yeah, I mean, look, it's Gears of War. It's not going to revolutionize anything that it hasn't already done. Like, Gears of War was revolutionary when it came out. Now it's just a really fucking good game, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll probably check it out, but it's not something that I'm overly hyped about anymore. My taste in gaming has shifted.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Gears of War, I mean, some of these franchises to me just seem a little bit beat, like I think of Gears of War, I mean, that game has been around forever. Wasn't it like a launch title for the 360?
I don't think it was a launch title, but it was
one of the first games, I think, or like it debuted on Xbox 360, right?
Yeah, well, it's exclusively a Microsoft game.
Right.
Meaning, it was originally only on Xbox, and now some of them are on Windows too.
Right.
But you can't get it through Steam. Like, it's Xbox platform.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I think what I'm saying is I'd like to see some new stuff from Xbox. I again, being a Sony fanboy, I feel like they definitely bring some, franchises back, usually every year. But Xbox, to me, I feel like they put a lot on Halo and Gears of War and a lot of those kind of staple core classics, Forza. And sometimes it gets a little stale for me.
Yeah.
But, that's the realm of Xbox.
Yeah.
Core classics.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't have explicitly more exclusive games. They did land Double Fine Studios. That's Tim Schafer and if anybody's familiar with his work, he's done some really quirky games. Probably the most famous being Psychonauts. They're bringing Psychonauts 2 to the Xbox. I don't believe it's going to be on PlayStation. I think it's an exclusive, because if I'm not mistaken, Microsoft, like, I don't know if they bought the studio or they're just funding the game, but they did say that Double Fine is joining Xbox Studios. I suspect it's kind of a similar deal that they have with Rare. That kind of thing.
Yep.
I've never really played the first Psychonauts, so I don't really have any love for this. I kind of have a bone to pick with Double Fine because they came out with a PC game a while ago that they completely abandoned, and it was still in alpha, and I bought into it, and they fucked me over. So
that sucks.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? But anyway, that was. But I mean, that's a good get for them. I think that Double Fine is the kind of studio you want under your umbrella. They have a rabid fan base. What else? Let's see here. Battletoads. There's going to be a new Battletoads game.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that. I'm not that familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a beat 'em up side scroller for the most part.
Okay.
It looks like Battletoads. I was never a Battletoads like super fan. I think I might have played the game like once or twice. It's it's an arcade beat 'em up.
Okay. I mean, it's cool to see some of that stuff kind of just randomly appear as something kind of new.
Let's see here. Oh, that rumored George R.R. Martin / Hideka Miyazaki.
Hitotaki. No, I think it's Hidetaka. No, Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Hidetaka. Yeah, that's. Let's see here. Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Yep.
That is happening. It's called Elden Ring.
Pumped. I've seen a logo or some kind of temp logo. It's the only thing that kind of like is strange is like I'm not a big Game of Thrones person. And I know that he specialized in making that or writing the books and helping out with the show. So it's an interesting collaboration. It may work depending on what the premise of this game is supposed to be, because Game of Thrones is kind of like I would imagine sort of a medieval format. I really don't know much about the show, but it might be a good partnership, if they're going to go back to making something that's Dark Souls like.
I just tossed a link for you in our Discord, and I when the thing came up, the trailer started playing. I got to be honest with you, I fucking checked out.
Oh, there's a trailer. I'm going to watch it right now.
There's a trailer. I don't know how long it is, but let's get your live reactions as this plays.
Sure. Put the sound on just low here.
This is great radio.
Absolute silence. Okay.
Can you play it on your speaker so it comes through the microphone?
I don't think I can.
Awesome.
That's all right. Bear with me, folks.
It's okay. Do 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 do.
Shush.
I'm gonna have to edit this. You have to give me commentary. Come on, man.
Dude, if you say one more fucking word.
Give us commentary! You're gonna make me edit out like 2 minutes of silence.
No, I must listen.
Yes, but talk about it while you're listening, goddammit.
I will give my review in a second, god damn it.
Ah!
Okay, I like the music. Elden Ring. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Mm.
I'm a little bit speechless in not a good or bad way. I don't
Well,
know if I really have an opinion yet. I feel like it's very reminiscent of Dark Souls trailers, because a lot of the
mm,
trailers are very, very much like this.
hmm
The animations and the art style of whatever they're showing there. I don't know if that's sort of in-game cutscene footage. I don't know really what it is, but it does look a little bit strange. It doesn't look
I,
good. It looks kind of
I,
like, I don't
yeah.
know. It looks like very almost like a sort of
hmm
dated look about it. So I don't know who's in charge of animating some of that stuff, but it just looks odd. It looks odd, but
Yeah.
it also looks potentially promising.
I would say that there was almost no gameplay, almost no actual gameplay footage shown
No, of course not.
in anything today.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me that much either.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I need to sleep on this one. I need to let this digest, because I might have to kind of pick apart that trailer a little bit more and
Mm.
really kind of absorb what was being said, because a lot of that stuff I missed, because you were rudely interrupting me multiple
Really,
times.
I was trying.
Multiple times, sir.
I was trying to make our listeners have something other than your breathing for 2 minutes straight.
Mm. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited. I don't know what I am, but
Mm. All right,
it looks potentially interesting. I'll leave it at that.
cool. Let's see here. There was a trailer for a game from Ninja Theory called Bleeding Edge. It's like a 4 versus 4 action combat multiplayer game from the makers of Hellblade. And it looks chaotic and fun, but I probably won't buy it. Let's see here. Oh yeah, they gave an announced date for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is a game that I have been meaning to play, Ori and the Blind Forest.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. Let's see here. What else? I'm saving like the best part for the end. Let's see here. What the hell was 12 minutes? I wrote down all these notes. I don't even fucking remember. Oh yeah. So there's this like top down game. I think it was 12 minutes. Let's see here. Yeah. So basically this game looks really fucking cool. It's called 12 Minutes, and it starts out with like this trailer of this guy sitting down for dinner with his wife, right? And you're looking inside their apartment from the ceiling down on them, right? So is that kind of like top down kind of view?
Sure.
And they're sitting down having dinner, and she says to him, "I got you something." And she slides a box over to him, this little package. And he says, I don't remember what it was, but he says something along the lines of, "I already know what this is. It's a onesie. You're pregnant." And she's like totally floored. Like, how do you know this? What kind of, craziness is going on? He's like, "I've already had this conversation with you." And it gets like really, really creepy, and she starts freaking out. And he's like, "Somebody's going to knock on the door. You have to run. You have to trust me." And all of a sudden he hears on the door, bang, 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 police. And it's just like building this tension like really, really well. Apparently this guy is stuck in some sort of a time loop.
Huh.
And he's trying to get out of it.
I like the sound of that.
It sounds fucking cool as hell.
I like the sound of that a lot.
Yeah. I am super stoked about that. I need to make a note of it so that I can circle back and keep an eye out for when that releases, because I want to play it. Phantasy Star Online 2.
Ooh. Okay.
That's going to be on the Xbox and the PC, free to play.
That's that. Okay. No, that's very cool, because I know that game holds a very special place in the hearts of the, was it Dreamcast or Saturn?
Dreamcast.
Wait, wasn't there a Saturn version?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Wait, no, not that I'm aware of. Not Phantasy Star Online.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that there was. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Are you Googling this?
I am.
Okay, good. because I could have sworn there was a Saturn like version of this. Maybe I could be totally wrong.
No, just a Dreamcast.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are huge into that game. I think still.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can still play it like offline, but
yeah. So to clarify, it was originally on the Dreamcast. They released it on Windows, GameCube, and Xbox. There are unofficial servers that are still active, and there are ways to access them. So if you have a copy of the game and you know how to do it, you can definitely play.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I don't know what the process is though. So I've never looked into it. There was a couple others that I wanted to talk about too. I'm just going to rattle off their names real quick because we are rapidly running out of time. But when you have a chance, there's 2 games that I recommend checking out: Spiritfarer and The Legend of Wright.
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Wright is an RPG that is like hand-drawn, literally hand-drawn as you're going through it. Looks very creative, very cool. Spiritfarer is a little bit more casual. It's kind of like this management game, I think it is, where you're kind of like managing a houseboat, but something about the graphics look really cool. And there was also a Blair Witch game announced.
Yeah, I want to touch on that real quick. I know nothing about it, but I'm intrigued because I really, really love the movie.
So the trailer starts out and kind of looks like Alan Wake. That kind of dark, like isolated feeling, heavy on the flashlights. But the character has a video camera, and I guess like when he's pointing the video camera at things, he could see stuff. I don't know. It wasn't explained. But it was just, I don't know. Like I was kind of intrigued until I saw the fucking Blair Witch logo pop up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That can be offsetting for some people because that movie for a lot of people was not good. And people, see that and they're like, ugh, fucking Blair Witch, just let it die, But I really enjoyed the first movie, so I don't know. I'm gonna check that out, whatever it's all about.
Yeah, I would say make your own decision. It could have potential, but I don't know. I enjoyed the first movie, but I also was a teenager and I bought into the bullshit about it being real, and then I was like, maybe not. And then finally, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077, which we didn't see any gameplay, but we saw some like really cool cutscenes. And it kind of, I don't know if this is like your character or just a character in the world, but it kind of shows like this whole story about how this guy tries to steal this chip. His partner gets killed. He's being chased down. He escapes, but he gets hurt in the process. And then he gets like knocked out or something, right? And when he comes to, fucking Keanu Reeves is staring at him.
Dude, I didn't see this, right? And I certainly didn't see it live, but I saw it on Twitter during the show, actually. And my God, does he look good?
Yeah. I just sent you a link to the trailer, so make sure you take a look at that later. But it has a picture of him.
Yep. In
the game, like front and center. And then fucking Keanu Reeves comes out and announces the release date himself.
Yeah, see, now that's badass,
at E3.
dude. That's badass. I mean, we were talking, before we hit record this evening, just about how Keanu is probably one of the coolest actors at the moment, just because of, John Wick and his comeback and just everything. This guy is the definition of cool.
Yeah. And, it's funny, too, because, like, the way he came across is like, oh, man, I'm just having a good time kind of thing. And then, like, I'm reading the comments on this Kotaku article, and somebody says, quote, this is Heimoth, Heimoth, right? That was about exactly how I would have imagined Keanu Reeves doing the game presentation. It also felt pretty clear he had never heard the term cyberpunk before, and the way he relished the word was just delightful.
Yeah. Well, everything that Keanu says, I mean, he could say, grass-fed whole milk, and it's going to sound so like sort of separated and so Neo Matrix-like that everybody's just going to be like, yep, that's Keanu Reeves.
Yep. And it's funny too, because like, if you think about it, everything Keanu Reeves has done is cyberpunk. So,
pretty much. Yeah.
They have a fucking laser in this thing. It's like the laser whip from Johnny Mnemonic. Do you remember that movie?
Nope.
What? You never seen it?
Stop shaming me.
What a terrible slice of 90s, but also what an awesome slice of 90s.
I like a slice of 90s.
It was one of his first big films, I want to say, after Bill and Ted. And he's like super young in it, and he's like basically a courier that stores information in his head and makes deliveries of information
On a
like
motorcycle, right?
I don't remember if it was a motorcycle, but it wouldn't surprise me, right? And there's this guy that's trying to chase him down and kill him, and he has this fucking laser whip that slices people into like there's, I remember the scene where he takes this whip and he like slices this guy's head and body, and like he's standing there for a second and then it just slides off of him. Like gravity just slides his body parts off.
Reminds me of Ghost Ship. You ever see that?
Oh God, unfortunately.
Yeah, horrible movie. But there's a scene where they like, I don't know, there's like a fucking line, like a cable line that gets released on this sort of crew of on the deck, crew of people. And it's the same kind of thing. Like you're just like, they're all just standing there like, wait, what just happened? And then they're all just like, dismembered and shed and fucking cut in half. It was crazy.
Ugh.
Horrible fucking movie. Terrible. Jesus Christ.
Horrible.
It's like
movie.
A face on the ship on the box art. Like, what's up with that, dude? Yeah, who created that? Like a 10-year-old?
Yeah. But they have announced that that's coming out April 16th, 2020. That is probably a day one purchase for me.
Yeah,
I am all about like that kind of world. Like, give me Blade Runner, give me this kind of shit. I love it.
Sure.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's probably going to be very promising.
Yeah. Check out the trailer when you were done. I think you'll be pleased.
Okay.
So, I feel like there's so much more to talk about, and E3 hasn't even like really gotten started. We still got like a couple more days of announcements. So next week, we'll try to do our best to circle back and talk about, I think, some of the other things, even though they'll be a little bit old by that point, but hopefully, there'll be a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. I need to catch up. I'm going to do that tomorrow or Tuesday, and that way I can get a little bit more involved with some of these topics. But yeah, E3 is exciting. It's exciting times. So far, it seems a little bit soft, but usually E3 delivers at some point, and sometimes it's a particular presser, and then other times it's just a couple things that get announced that really kind of bring the whole show full circle.
Yeah, I mean it's just day one, so
yeah, we're early in.
Yep, absolutely. Well, before we wrap things up, anything else you want to talk about?
Don't see Ghost Ship and play Skyrim, play Sekiro, and eat rinsed blueberries. Wash your fruit.
See evil. Oh God, I'm looking at this cover art for Ghost Ship.
Can I just say you said that like you were a second grader trying to read like 2 words.
I said it with disdain, sir.
See evil.
Because it's like...
No, excuse me. Apple megaphone. Okay.
I'm astounded by the marketing.
It's so bad.
It's so fucking bad.
Whoever the guy is.
I forgot Carl Urban was in this. Oh my God, that poor man.
Oh, that's tragic. Thank God for Dredd.
Oh my God, he's rebounded so well. I mean,
God bless him.
Dredd, Leonard McCoy in Star Trek. That's about all I can think of. Good for him. Oh yeah, he was in that Almost Human show, which was a great show that Fox fucking canceled after one season.
My final thought with everything else, the washing of the fruit watch Dredd, the movie.
Good call.
Watch Dredd the movie.
Good call.
And watch it on Blu-ray, and watch it at night in a nice dark room, and call me when you're all set with it, and we'll discuss why it's one of the greatest action films, and one of the greatest versions of Dredd I think ever.
If somebody wanted to fax you their thoughts, How could they do so?
I still have to get the paper, and I still have to get the line back on. You know, people need to understand that, you know, running a fax costs money, and money is something that Drew and I have none of. No, I'm just rambling. Yeah, I'm just rambling. Yeah, dude, we have money.
You know what? One of these days, I'm going to Goodwill. I'm going to buy you a fax machine, and I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to be like, what now, motherfucker?
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm going to fucking get one, and we're going to get it working, and I'm going to get a line up. We're going to get the paper, and a fax will come through this year, and it's going to be an absolute dream, I think, for both of us. You know, in fact, maybe we should just do a Kickstarter for a used fax, since we're so piss poor broke.
Dude, I'm telling you, just we can scrounge up some pennies in the sidewalk. I'll return some cans. We'll go to Goodwill. I'll return some of my cans and bottles I got in the garage.
I just won't eat for a week.
Go to Goodwill, and then we'll find one for $5.
Yeah, we will starve for a fax, people. Okay, just know that. Yeah.
Anyway,
see,
I'm not.
See, I can't say it. I can't say it without laughing. Wait. See, evil. Okay.
I think that's our fucking show title.
That's it, dude. That is absolutely it.
Oh, folks, thank you so much for downloading the show. Subscribe if you haven't. Please join us in Discord. We have a lot of fun over there talking about this kind of stuff, including an E3 chat room and all kinds of other cool shit. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at WDGRPodcast. You can follow me on Twitter at ScienceStorm. How can they find you, Will?
Will_gear.
All right. You're saying it like C.
I know. I can't. I just did it subconsciously, I swear.
Will_gear.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm just going to, oh my God, what's happening? End the show, Drew. End the show.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.